Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our family channel, our YouTube channel where we discuss everything pertaining to the family. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Today, we'll be looking at anger management. We'll be looking at what it is, what are the root causes, steps in controlling anger and managing it effectively, and the different benefits of anger management in the family. Let's meet our panelists today. I'll be starting from my left.
My name is Debbie Hamilton-Bogues. I am an educator and I've been married for 32 years and I have 4 daughters.
Thank you, Debbie. And the next panelist?
Thank you very much, Sabrina. My name is Sarah Judith Marion and I'm a lawyer. And the reason why this topic interests me, my area of expertise is arbitration. It's a form of conflict resolution. So this resonates a lot with me. And I'm also excited to be here with Family Matters.
Thank you. And we go to our final panelist.
My name is Desmond Bogues. I'm married for 32 years and I was responsible for pastoral care in school that were in special measures, and we managed to get them out with some of these skills that hopefully that we're discussing. And I'm also passionate about family matters.
Thank you so very much. So here you've met our panelists, and I'm sure you are now happy for us to go into what we're doing today. So first question goes to you, Judith. What is anger?
When we are looking at anger, it is a normal emotion we all have. Usually anger comes because you've been triggered by something. So I need to reiterate that it is a normal anger. Rather, it's a normal emotion. Anger becomes a problem when it is exacerbated. Now this emotion is becoming heightened. I am very emotional. I am angry. What have you done? So for me, I don't have a definite definition for anger. It's a normal emotion. The problem comes when we just exacerbate this anger, this emotion.
Thank you so very much. And that leads me to the next question. Debbie, what then is anger management?
It is our tools used to manage a person who is angry. It is strategies being employed to manage that emotion and the impact of that emotion on an individual or a member of the family.
Oh, very good. Now tell us, Desmond, what are the benefits of managing anger?
There are several benefits of managing anger, but I'd like to look at the definition from a
Okay, go ahead and continue.
little school point of view, because
Yes.
that's where my expertise is.
Okay, go
And
ahead.
it gives us probably 2 or 3 when I was researching this, because one that generally that we would prescribe to, it says that it is a natural and normal emotional everyday experience that one would occasionally have when you're
So you're
angry.
saying that
Occasionally.
it's okay for us to get angry?
Yes,
Yes.
it is.
Okay, it is.
Yes.
So where does the problem lies then?
And no, the problem lies in your
Yes.
action to that, because
Oh.
if it's built up, then
Yes.
it becomes some other physical, emotional, all of those things that can lead into that, and that's where the problem comes in, because it's normal. We can get angry even on the bus you're driving, those are natural everyday occurrences, but how do we control
Yes.
and manage?
That is it. And that's my question. That leads me to the next question. You have talked to us about what it is and what it can do. Now tell me, how can we manage those emotions when they get so out of control?
All right, good question there, because here, when we understand something, then we can use the tools that are available to us. Because if you're like for me, I'm a father, I have 4 children, and if they do something wrong, then I need to find out what is it that they have done wrong that angers me, that allows me now to find a response that is appropriate to what they have done to anger me.
Seems like you've gone straight into one of my questions about the triggers, but continue.
Can I add before Desmond speaks about the best kind of anger? It is described as the assertive anger.
What is that?
Yes, it's one which is a healthy kind of anger.
Okay.
Where you express your feelings and you're able to communicate that effectively to the person who's caused you to be angry. I often say, though, anger is also my response. I choose to be angry in a situation. Sometimes someone might say something hurtful. My response might not be in proportionate to what it has been said to me. I might say something differently. I might not respond any at all. So therefore, if my anger is constructive, my response is constructive.
Yes, then the anger won't go out of.
Exactly. So it takes two to become angry.
You think, what about some situation that doesn't really involve somebody else, but it's just your intrinsically, you're angry about a situation, and you become angry, then somebody says something to you, and then it's not what they say that caused you to be angry, but it's what you have been bottling up inside that you now lash out. What about that?
Can I add something to your question? I think let's just go back to the drawing board. We have 5 conflict styles. We have to understand, how do I handle conflict when it comes? How do I handle my stress? So Thomas Kilman gives the 5 styles. We have the competitive ones. When a situation has arisen, they will have to compete. Let me have my point across. Then we have those who are going to compromise. Can I compromise? Okay, you made me angry. Let me think about it. Then we have the avoidant ones. I do not want to deal with this situation right now. Can I deal with it later? Then you have, let me just refer to my notes. Then you have, the accommodating one, who's going to say, okay, let's deal with this. I will accommodate your point. So once we know our conflict style, then we can enably handle whatever situation, or even know, where do I stand?
I like that, and I like that you're able to point out the different types of conflict. But which one would you say? Would you tell our audience which one would have been the best one to refer to, or which one would be the best one for you to cope with, or to manage your anger effectively?
Okay, now I'm going to again take you back.
Yes.
Men and women handle conflict differently.
Okay.
Dr. John Gray says, men are from Mars and women are from Venus.
Yes.
And then he tells us the differences between the way men handle conflict is different from women. Men like to stress back, go back in their cave, handle their issues fast. Then once they've resolved, then they'll come back and handle the issues. Then for women, they want to talk about things. So when men and women are aware of how the other sexes handle conflict, then they'll be able to say, okay, this is the best approach. I do not think there's a best approach to saying I'm a collaborator, because again, we have different personalities.
Yes, whether it's sanguine or maybe phlegmatic. Yes, understand totally.
Yes. So at the back of your mind, you have to know, this is my character temperament. Now, let me refer now to the couples. You've studied yourselves. This is my character temperament. What is my spouse's character temperament? How do they handle issues? Now, referring again to Dr. John Gray, I know for men, they want to step back. I don't want to handle the issues right now. I need to think about it. So the best way to communicate this is tell your spouse, look, right now is not the best time for me to handle this situation. Give me time. And for the woman who just wants to talk and talk and talk, journal it down. So that when you come and you're going to, let's say, accommodate your husband's situation, because you're bubbling with emotions, journal it down, breathe in, go out. When your husband is ready to talk, then he will come.
Okay, I like that. And I'm coming to you, Desmond. I like that, but I'm sure that our audience will be asking, but really, how would I really deal with the conflict? You've said quite a lot. You have defined, you have told us that, men deal with conflicts differently from women. We must decide who the person we're having this conflict with, how best do they deal with the conflict. Then when we understand how they deal with the conflict, then we're able to, both of us, come to an agreement, a consensus line where both of us can meet. But if I suppose I don't know.
Okay, compromise and accommodate as a couple. Compromise and accommodate.
Okay, so we're looking at it in the family, compromise and accommodate. So that's the family. Yes. All right, go ahead, Desmond.
Because I like her approach to it, because for me, now I'm going to go back to children, because as adults, we have a responsibility to teach our kids how to manage
their emotions.
We don't want, when they reach adulthood, then they have to learn these skills. So as a family, we are in this with family anger.
Yes.
So how do we ensure that our little toddler running around does something wrong, and scream
and have a tantrum, and we've seen so many of that. Yes.
And then we laugh and think it's fine. They're just, no, we need to manage those little character traits being developed before they reach, as my sister said here, there.
How would you manage that? How would you manage that with?
Yeah, because you see
toddlers?
it. Okay.
Tell me, what would you
All right,
do?
look at an example.
Yes.
You go to the supermarket. Mom want to buy something. The child will have none of it. But all of a sudden you hear, probably you see the child is misbehaving, and mom just, oh, come on. I'm not saying you're to abuse, but there is a point there that you have an opportunity to make a statement that that child would understand that it is not appropriate.
So you're saying at that point in managing the child's anger from then what would you do? What would you tell that mom? How? Because we may have persons would be saying, every time we go to the supermarket, my son wants something, I told him no, he cannot get it, and then he create a tantrum, throw himself on the ground. What can I do as a parent to help manage that anger within that child?
Beautiful, because that's where the family communication is important.
Okay.
We don't wait until things happen to speak to our children, because if we speak to them respectfully throughout our family discussion and all of these things, then they will know that mommy said this and I should not do that, or daddy says this and I should not do that. These are all little things that they will not happen if we allow our kids to respect us and we respect them. The shouting and all of these things, sometimes, yes, culturally we see things differently, but we have to learn. It's important that we understand that as parents we need to learn how to raise our children. And as Judith said, in the adult sphere, I'm going to the children's sphere, because we need to manage here well, and when they grow, we grow good children for society.
All right, managing their emotions effectively so that we do not have an angry nation.
Definitely.
All right, go ahead, Debbie.
I think there are two things we need to look at. One is the adults.
Yes.
As an adult, we're the ones who are modeling for the children.
Yeah.
So if at home, everything that happens, I become angry with my wife or angry with my child, kids model what they see.
Yes.
So if I'm able to manage my anger, if a child sees me when I'm angry, and I will say, I'm not feeling right at this moment, can you give me a break? Let me go for a walk. And then we can discuss. That is a different response than me lashing out at my wife or my husband or the children. Then we develop fear in the family. Mm-hmm. So if we set boundaries, if we speak, communicate my feelings, I am very annoyed and I'm angry at what was said, but I will not respond now. I was reading an article some time ago, and the writer said there are two ways we can respond to, especially for our children if they have done something wrong. Do not punish them at the same time. Punish them tomorrow. And when tomorrow comes, my anger will be so subsided I probably would have forgotten that this child did something wrong the day before. Or at a convenient time, you say, you did something today and I'm not really pleased about this. Your behavior has made me angry, and therefore let us talk through it. You did X and Y and Z, and therefore it's a calm approach than a violent approach where you're angry and I become angry.
And I love that. I love the way you said that. And I really love the point in which you said you take a walk. You know, I like that. Instead of staying in the explosive situation, then you give breathing space and you take a walk. Go ahead, Judith.
I wanted to piggyback on what she said, but again, going back to the couple, I think couples should agree on the parenting style, especially with discipline at the start of the relationship. So right now we're having an issue with gentle parenting, where some parents will say, okay, I'm not going to make a lot of noise for the child, but you have to discipline this child. So as a couple, agree, how are we going to handle conflict at home? There is a discipline issue. Now, for the child in the grocery store who's throwing a tantrum, what should the mother do? Mm-hmm. The mother in the moment should be able to enforce discipline. I'm the one with authority right now. I'm stepping down. This is not necessary. Otherwise, the child is going to think they can get away with anything. And then when you go back home, discuss, with your spouse.
Talk.
Yes, discuss with your spouse first. How should we handle conflict effectively in this house? Do we talk? Because children are different. Their personalities could be different. One would maybe need a farmer had, and maybe
Yes.
one needs, talking. So as a parent, or rather as parents, discuss what your parenting style is without maybe saying this is gentle parenting, because even your traumas as you're growing up could dictate how you discipline your children. So I think it's important.
Yeah, very important. I see that Desmond is burning to say something. Go ahead, Desmond.
You see-
I see
you
Judith
see,
touch a
I-
point that you really,
because
okay, go ahead.
this-
Yes.
The importance here in raising in family and in handling anger, that
Yes.
it takes a mature position all the time. It takes a mature position all the time. She said something about family there. I remember a teacher said to me, we were having a staff meeting, and he said, it was about parent evening, and he said to me, I've taught this boy's father, and his father is gonna come. And when he said, look at the father, you can see that this man, anger is still in his child. You mentioned something almost along the line there, that sometimes things are genetic. I'm putting the point in to say, if we don't understand our own behavior, then how will we ensure that our children are ready for society and that we don't develop angry society throughout?
All right, and that brings me to the next question, though. What are the common causes of uncontrolled anger? So here we go, we're going, and I see you're ready to answer me, and we will begin with Debbie. What are the common causes of uncontrolled anger?
A quotation says, a soft anger
Turn it away wrath.
So if I'm able, and grievous words stirs anger.
Oh.
So my response to a situation might flip everything on its head.
Okay.
If I'm addressed aggressively and my response is gentle, it will not necessarily stir this person up. I'm gentle in my response. I'm not even respond at the same time. I give it time. So there is no occasion for an angry moment to happen.
Yes.
So that's one way of anger, of addressing the anger problem
Yes.
with an adult. The same for a child. If a child comes in and they're disrespectful to you as an adult, there's no need for you to be also disrespectful, even though you are the adult. You wait some time and say, okay, what happened a while ago? Are you okay? You find out from this child.
So you're telling me that probably one of the causes for uncontrolled anger is the response. All right, Judith,
Okay,
go
I
ahead.
wanted to add, to what Debbie has said. First of all, trauma. There could be trauma
Okay.
that has been bottled up.
Yes.
So that trauma needs to be, removed. So every single time the person, will bottle out. Another thing is sudden life changes. Maybe there's death. A parent maybe has lost a job. And the next one is poor communication. So I don't know how to communicate with my partner, even with my children, because sometimes we forget even the children are involved. You can't communicate effectively with them. They will lash out at you. So
All right.
that is what I can think of right
Thank
now.
you very much. All right,
I
Desmond.
want to add, because one of the things that
Yes.
for me as a parent growing up and growing adult kids now, I realize that we need to read, we need to learn as we grow. And I want to leave probably 5 authors that people can learn about.
Oh, very well. This is Family Matters.
Yes,
We give information.
one is a guy called Gary Chapman.
Yes.
Another is Steve Mabel, Ari Keller, Swati and her team. And one that I would encourage people to read if you're in a Christian sphere is E.G. White on raising the family. It's
Okay.
important that we read and inform ourselves.
So we can manage situation
manage
effectively.
situation.
Thank you so very much. We will go for a break, but please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. We will see you on the other side of the break. Thank you.
Hello everyone and welcome back. Today's special message is about anger management. Managing anger is key to building a peaceful and loving family environment. Controlling your emotions prevents hurtful words and actions that can damage trust and relationships. Instead, calm responses foster understanding, strengthen bonds, and set a positive example for your family. Choose patience over anger. It brings lasting harmony and happiness. Stay safe, see you next time, and goodbye.
Welcome to Family Matters. Welcome back to Family Matters. And remember that I'm your host, Sabrina Martin, and we have been discussing about anger management. And I will go back to my host and let's start back the conversation. Judith, what are some telltale signs of unresolved anger within the family? Talking about both children and parents, extended family.
Okay, the first one is erratic outbursts. The person is just going to start screaming. Physical ones, there's clenching of fists, they're clenching their teeth. There's heightened, heartbeat, and then they're pacing every single time. That could be a sign this person, is getting out of control. You need, to watch them. Before you know, they are throwing things. They're getting physically, aggressive.
So that's both adults and children?
Usually for children, we could see that. Now for adults, we have now the silent ones, like the passive-aggressive ones. You're silently treating your partner. You're not talking to them. That's another sign of anger. Another one, you avoiding communication, of course, goes back, to silent treatment. So for adults, they're so smart at hiding. Children's can be, physical. But for adults, I feel the greatest is the silent treatment. That one is very dangerous. But adults are very passive-aggressive. That's how I would tell an adult, who has issues with them.
With anger. Okay,
Yes.
go from the
short
Desmond.
answers too. When adults respond to each other, yes, no, and you expect almost
A long paragraph.
Yes, a long paragraph.
Okay, and the yes, no.
Yes, and back with the children, because I'm passionate about that. Is when you have these kids that they do not control their anger.
Yes.
Sometimes it spills into gang, into being really become bully.
Okay.
And become violent and just lose
Have
the
a lot
joy
of
of
fights.
learning. Yes, the joy of learning. So it's important that we learn as adults to gauge those children, those emotions. And as Judy said, it's not difficult to see as parents, and we should not take anything for granted. They are precious, so we need to take every little sign. It's like a lab. They're in our lab. Our homes are labs.
Yes.
So we need to take that responsibility as the scientist, the mother, the father, seriously. Even some homes with grandpa, grandma, and extended
Family members.
We are workers in that lab with those kids. Just imagine when they become what we would love them to become, or the joy that brings to us. So why don't we take that responsibility seriously in every aspect? It's so much to say, but let me leave it for somebody.
All right, let's get to Debbie, and then I'll come back to you, Julie.
Okay,
Go ahead, Debbie.
I want to add, for teenagers, the
Yes.
silent treatment to parents. They give you that silent treatment. They're not speaking. You call and just one word name, one response. Their tasks are done. So sometimes they bang the plates if they're washing. 7 broken glasses, 7 broken plates.
That's
They'll bang
definitely-
the door. You'll hear that. You say, okay, something is wrong.
Yes, that's
the headphone is in and you're calling, no response. So the silent treatment to parents, and sometimes if you have boys, they might become very aggressive towards you. They might be shouting at you as a mother. I don't have sons, but I have friends who have had that experience with your child. They'll go out of the home and they don't come back.
And they don't tell you where they're
Don't tell you
going?
where they're going.
Okay.
And then
So these are signs
These are
of
signs of
anger
anger.
manifesting.
Yes.
All right, Judith, you're burning. Go ahead and tell us
When I
what
was
you've been
speaking, Something
thinking.
came up to me.
Yes.
But for adults, usually they have very narcissistic tendencies. When you see your spouse, whether male or female, starting to become controlling, just tend towards the narcissism. What are they doing? Are they making so many demands? Are they becoming controlling? Are they passive aggressive, just like I mentioned? So narcissism is another sign of aggression and also anger management issues with adults. And then maybe when you bring up issues, they want to throw them under the rug. I'm not interested in this conversation. So that's again another sign for adults.
That actually brings me to the next question, which I will direct at you, Desmond. Poor communication skills are often at the core of uncontrolled anger. Can you further expand on this? Judith actually touched on it, so tell me.
Because if someone speaks to you and you don't understand what they are saying to
Yes.
you, the tendency is to go off and bring your own opinion or your own idea into something which is totally foreign to what, let's say, your wife or your child is saying to you. I remember, to use an example as family, my wife said to our daughter, and I want to go into all of the stories, but she said to me, Mommy, said to Mommy, you just love to hear your voice. And that makes me think to say, oh, we need to step back and listen. So communication is absolutely important.
It is.
understand what is being said and how it's been, because sometimes even how it's been said give a different ring to the action that we will give to what is asked of us. So communication is absolutely important, because that triggers our own response to the desired outcome that either our children or our spouse requires from us. Communication don't have to be verbal.
No, we have non-verbal communication. So our body language is also speaks
too. Yes.
aloud, and it's sometimes even louder than what we would say.
Because for me, my child will say, my wife will look at, oh, why your face is like that? Like my daughter, the eldest one, look at me, oh, daddy, your face is telling a story, and she almost 90% right all the time. So it's important that we communicate effectively. It's important.
And may I add to effective communication? It's not sometimes it's not what he said.
Yes.
It's a how.
Yes.
Of what he said that makes
And
the
your
impact.
tone of voice has a lot.
Voice is a how. Yes. And so that will impact the hearer.
Yes.
And if the hearer doesn't want to hear what you are saying,
then communication has not taken place.
definitely not taking place.
The process has to go through.
Could I add something to communication?
Yes.
So there's something called escapism, where your spouse is talking or your children and you just leave the room and allow them to be there. So for communication, there has to be active listening. So spouses and parents need to start practicing listening. I'm going to listen. I've learned something called the sandwich method, where you praise, criticize, and praise. Because usually when somebody comes at you with accusations,
Yes.
you want to back off and defend yourself. So instead
All
of
the
saying
time.
you, start with I feel when you did A, B, C, D, it made
was
me
good.
feel this way. Instead of saying you did not do the dishes, you did not listen to me. I feel when you don't. So instead of
I
using
love that.
statements
I really like
you,
that, and I hope our audience is really getting that. I really like
I
that.
statements.
Yes.
the I statements, that way the person does not feel attacked. Because for anger, I think you cannot be all wearing pink. Be calm. Don't come, with all the swords, to your spouse, because we are emotional beings, right?
Yes.
The women are emotional. They like to talk and believe what they're saying. So even as a husband, you have an maybe let's say your wife has done something. Do not accuse. Start with the sandwich method. Yesterday you did something I really enjoyed. Today, I did not like when you did ABCD because it made me feel not heard. I did not feel validated. However, you're such a wonderful wife. Even for the children, it's easy for me to listen to you when you address issues like that. But when you come with an accusation, why did you max out the cards this month? Of course, I'm going to defend myself.
I understand totally. And that brings me to my next question, or the next point, that misconception and misunderstandings are often common consequences of uncontrolled anger. How do you respond to that?
Say if a parent says something to a child and it's not clearly understood.
Yes.
No one asks for clarity.
Yes, clarity is important.
And therefore, we both have two different ways of responding. So I'm expecting this response, and you have given me this response. And I'm questioning myself, why are you responding to me this way? What I said to you wasn't that response that I'm getting back from you.
Mm-hmm.
And so therefore, there is misunderstanding, and then the end result is polar apart. And so that it also causes anger, because what you're expecting from me and what I'm giving to you is not the same.
Can I add something?
Yes.
Yeah, go right ahead.
To what Debbie is saying? We have to understand the temperaments of our spouses, and way back to the same thing. And
Yes.
the children. When you know the temperaments of this child, either, the children are very strong-willed, usually very sanguine. Sanguines do not want to be given certain things. So with a sanguine, I have to first praise them because it's their strength. After praising them, then I can address this. With a child who's melancholic, you have to get back to their weaknesses because they are hiding. So for me, my emphasis is for spouses and couples. Take your time to understand your children, understand your spouse. When you understand them best, then you communicate best. You can have the best tools on communication. But if you do not know my temperament, you're wasting your time. It's going to fall on deaf ears.
Okay, go ahead,
Because
Desmond, then I get
with
to the
children,
next question.
it's important that we help them to understand how they respond to things. Why you behave like this. And then with adults, we can always argue around things, but like with the card example, the person would say, oh, it's because now why you never said that I bought you ABC and you enjoy them. You didn't know that that's where the money comes from.
Yes. Now
So we have to be careful how we ask questions, know our partners.
and how we respond.
Yes.
Response is quite important.
It is absolutely important. So, good idea, Sangwin, but know that I did something for you. That's why the card is like this. So come with those and not just the negative all the time.
All right. So now that we have discussed factors of anger, now let's look at how we can effectively manage this anger. What are some strategies would you leave with our audience for managing their anger?
Okay, first for me as a parent
Yes.
is train your children.
Okay.
Communication is key. So tell me, express your needs to me as your mom. Say, I'm happy. If you're hungry, you say you're hungry. So if I say something to you which is not what you really want to hear, it makes you upset, say. So express yourself. The other, if you're angry, do not speak immediately. Go for a walk. Do some deep breathing. Have some water.
Okay.
And I'm telling myself, if I had known this before when I was young, when my kids were smaller,
Yes.
I would punish the next day, and by then there'll be no punishment. So give yourself some time to really think about what has happened. Think through the entire situation. Is my response an appropriate response? And oftentimes it might not be, because I'm taking anger from a road rage in the car. Something has happened outside of the home.
Yes.
It's brought in, and then it has made things worse. In my response to my
your
children.
child.
So
Yeah.
therefore, be reflective in what happens. If it happened today, give yourself some time to address your child's needs, and therefore create a calm setting in your home so your kids can come to you when things are out of work.
Good. I like that, because if you don't do that, kids can develop a fear for their parent.
Yes. They
Because if you
definitely
do
can.
something, and sometimes, to be honest, I'm sticking with school around school, because
That's where most of your life is centered.
And
Yes.
the child does something wrong in school. Let's say,
Yes.
okay, the grade wasn't right.
Yes.
Sometimes it's in math, in physics, those subjects that you have to calculate things along. You get one part wrong, and everything goes wrong. So sometimes it's just that little mistake that you have made, and it moves from 80% to probably 40-50%, and then you as a child now you said, Mama or Daddy's gonna so now
wanna
you need
start
to
something.
Okay.
you need to be able now to understand that yes, your child did something that is out of the norm, and don't
hit
hammer
it
them.
on the head
Yes.
like that. And remember Judith has mentioned earlier about the sandwich approach. So yes, the child would have done something wrong, but then you can draw on something positive that they had done
Yes.
before you address that
Because
wrong
they're
that they
coming
have
to
done.
you too with fear. That's what they know, that my parents is gonna do this or
Yeah,
gonna
they're
say
gonna
this.
be
So
blasting,
just imagine.
yes.
Yeah, they're good. Yes.
Okay, go
I want
ahead,
to add
Judith.
something to what he said. It's opening my mind a lot. My mentor told me something that I want to leave, with the audience. It's called the cards. You see, like the traffic lights. So for couples, when you feel, of course, again with your character's temperaments in public, if I notice you're getting, very erratic, I'm going to pull out, let's say, the red card. You're going out of hand. Let me see you're getting closer to the red hand. Pull out the yellow card. So with time, sit and say, okay, this is going to be our cues in public. Because sometimes I could be a sanguine and I'm going to scream in public. So I sit with my husband or my wife and I say, look, in public, this is going to be the cues for proper communication. When I pull out a red flag, it means you're going overboard. Even with other situations, maybe finances, anything that is bring up the situations. If it is yellow, I think you're getting to the bad side. If you're doing well, I'll emphasize your good points and there's a green card for you. So I feel have your coded language where you tell your spouse, I think you're going overboard. I think you're going to be nice. And when they do something nice, please encourage them, motivate them. Because also it's important to know your spouse's love language.
Yes.
If it's words of affirmation, affirm them when they do something good, so that when they do something bad, the sandwich method is going to be easier for you. Because why would you tell me I'm an amazing wife, but you're screaming at me? So understand the love language for your spouse. Something has skipped me, but I wanted to say, in as much as we are going around discussing all these things, it's also very important once in a while as a family to assess ourselves. Ask your spouse, do you think we need, anger management therapy?
Yes.
Do we need a counselor? Because this is going out of
And
hand.
that was a question I was going to ask, but our time is up. I was going to ask about the genetic factor. If you do you believe that there's some genetic factors or family history that would have predisposed individual to anger issues? Do you think there may be some sort of genetics?
Possible, but I think it's learned for the most part.
Okay.
I think it is learned. And with things that are learned, it can be unlearned. So therefore, formal counseling can be very effective. A whole family counseling, not only this child or this one person,
Yes.
or the wife or the husband.
The whole family.
The whole family needs this kind of intervention. So the support is put in place for everyone.
Can I disagree with Debbie?
Okay.
Yes, go ahead. And let's leave the gentleman for last. Go ahead, Judith.
Well, there could also be genetics, for anger. For instance, the mother is pregnant and you're angry the whole time. The
Yes,
child is going to
predisposed.
feed on
That's the
anger.
predisposing factor.
Yes.
Okay.
So the children that are going to be born, right now research is saying even the mother's mood affects the child.
Yes.
You could be very angry, you're going to have an abortion. So I believe, yes, there is a part of trauma that is transferred to the baby. You've been an alcoholic father. The mother has been holding all this pain. The child will be born even with medical conditions. So let's not remove the fact that sometimes there is
It may be
genetics playing behind.
So we also need to be very important when a
Yes,
woman is
absolutely.
pregnant.
Absolutely.
Her environment
Yes.
is very calm and not filled with
and
anger.
very loving.
Yes.
There's so much to be said. I hope.
Yes, and there are two questions I need to quickly get
Because
to.
quickly,
Yes.
I said that the home is a lab.
Yes.
The environment that is created in the home plus the external environment, because sometimes we can do as much as we can in the home.
Yes.
But outside
We have
there
the
is
heritage.
also
Yes.
bad air blowing around in our children's minds is absolutely important. Yes, they're also genetic, right?
Can
But the environment that we grow our children in, we need to be absolutely careful and clear. I was reading and listening to something while I was preparing for this, and this person was saying we should, take this thing so seriously as families before we start to have children, that we prepare ourselves months in advance and know that we're going to bring a child into the world, that we're going to expose them to things that they have no control over. So why should we just think that it's okay to just have them and leave them to grow like animals? It's tough to say that, but yes.
Yeah, time is going. Quickly, Debbie, and then we definitely have to get to at least one of the questions.
To add two things. Eating well also makes a difference.
Yes.
Eating, sleeping, and family relaxation. Find time to unwind. Work is busy. Just relax as a family, and that can also impact the way we respond to each other when something goes wrong.
All right, so a question that comes from the audience. It says, after my husband and I had twin girls, I noticed that our previously mild irritation with each other had become more intense. The babies weren't sleeping and both my husband and I were exhausted. I didn't think my husband was pulling his weight caring for the girls. Tension in our marriage was higher than ever and conflicts have become daily occurrences. What should I do?
Okay, I can begin to respond.
Yes.
If you're expecting a child at the home, it should be prepped from both parents. When the children now arrive and it will impact. Child is not sleeping, neither are you.
And it's twins.
Twins, create a timetable. So one sleeps. If a child is sleeping, you sleep with one. When the child is up, I sleep with one. So you create a timetable where you both can work around the children. If dad works out and mom is at home, responsibility is going to be on her. But they say sleep when the child is sleeping. Do not be worried about the state of the house or anything. The first priority is self-care and the care of those children. Tell your husband how gorgeous he is. Still, he's a good father. Encourage him. Not all men like to take care of young children as well. And those things also impact the way he relates to the children. So create this relationship, create a bond, give him other things to do other than caring for the babies immediately, and gradually introduce him to this child. These are yours. So just go, do something.
But then she would say, but they're both ours. But thank you. I like your response. Go again, Janice. What do you have to say?
What I see from here, it's a problem with communication. There's
Okay.
bad communication. The couple needs to communicate better, but also ask for help. There's no problem asking for help. You've got twins. You can't be burdened, the whole time by yourselves. Ask for help, but again, communicate better. If there's a problem with communication, then address it. If you need extra help, go for counseling or therapy.
All
You
right.
know, before,
And that's your final comment. Go ahead. Yes.
before you knew that technology is available now, that you know that you're going to have 2 children.
Yes.
So for me, and this is where it's important that we take our relationship seriously, that it doesn't lead to this. We know that we're going to have twins. So as Debbie and Judith said earlier, before a child born, they can start to learn. So for me, what I used to do, I used to read to my wife. Pregnancy. We read, we discuss. So you start to be a part of that whole process before it happens. The joy I had when my first child was born, I didn't want my mother to do anything. I wanted to do everything. So I'm just saying, as a man, this
Yes.
is the time when we can do something. It's 2 children. So you can't sit back and say, okay, it's your
But
responsibility.
no,
And-
they are in the situation.
Seek help. I'm
Yes,
saying
so
get help.
get
Get
it-
help. Family members, sorry, there's one. Family members, neighbors, whoever. Engage other people. We're having difficulty. Babies are very demanding. Can you come in to help us? Put them on a timetable. You're coming at 10 and you give them something to do and take the stress from yourself and also from the house.
Don't care about the house.
Last word. Yes. And
Don't
then
care
do
about the
last word.
house. If the house want to fall, let
Okay.
it fall. But do the care for the babies
And yourself.
and yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, Judith, last word.
My last word, for couples out there, first of all, understand your conflict style, and then to
Yes.
understand the character, temperament of your spouse. There are so many tests online you can take. Get to know your spouse, because you'll be shocked. Maybe the way you've been communicating has been agitating them, pushing them to be irritable. But if you understand their, love language, their conflict style, you will best craft your approach of handling situations at home. That would be my last take.
Thank you so very much. Thank you very much to my very esteemed guest and to you, my audience. I hope that you would have learned something today. And please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. And please remember that we have many other issues that will be coming up. Have yourself a good day, a good afternoon, a good morning. Thank you.